Tonight, we begin at the edge of time, before mountains rose or oceans stirred, before gods, giants, or men took form. This is the Norse creation myth, a tale shaped by fire and ice, silence and storm. It speaks of a great nothingness called Ginnungagap, of a world that emerged slowly, drawn from extremes, of the sacred cow who gave life to gods, of Odin and his brothers, who shaped the sky from a skull and scattered sparks to become stars. From the frozen mists and the blazing heat came the first beings, vast and strange. It unfolds in slow breaths. It invites you to settle in, to listen deeply, and to feel the rhythm of an ancient world being born. Giants, gods, and the earth itself rose from that meeting. You will hear of Ymir, the first giant, whose body became the world. This is not a tale of urgency. Let the day fall behind you. Let the stillness of the beginning settle over you. The 9 worlds await. Chapter 1, Ginnungagap. The silent void in the beginning. There was nothing. No sky above. No earth below. No stars, no sun. No breath of wind or ripple of tide. Only Ginnungagap, the great yawning void. It was still, not by peace, but by absence. A vast and silent nothing. And in that quiet, there was no time to pass, no eye to witness, no thought to stir. From its heart flowed the spring, called Virgulmir, and from that wellsprout surged 12 rivers. Sparks leapt high into nothingness, carried on winds that had never been named. The air shimmered, and from deep within Muspelheim burned the eternal fire, wild and living. They were slow and ancient, bearing the chill of the void. As they moved, their waters froze, layer upon layer, until jagged ice stretched into Ginnungagap like fingers reaching into sleep. It was not a place of darkness, nor of light. It held no cold, yet no warmth. From the warmth of his body, new life emerged. Under his left arm, a man and a woman formed, great and strong like him. A great cow, vast and gentle, named Auhumla. Ymir fed from Auhumla. The Jotnar stirred. Ice still melted in the center of Ginnungagap, and fire danced on the edges of the void. She began to lick at the salt-rich ice that lined the edges of the void, day after day, steady and silent. On the third, a full form stood, tall, shining, and shaped like a man. And as she licked, something new took shape, not giant, not beast. Her body gleamed with frost, and her breath was slow like wind through pine. Not with thunder, not with war, but with the meeting of elements, with a breath melting frost, with the body of a giant and the tongue of a cow. The world had not yet taken shape, but the threads had been spun. From Ginnungagap, from the yawning stillness, the first voices of creation began to hum low and deep. But for now, he stood quietly in the void, untouched by time, lit by the soft firelight that drifted from the south. He had no past, only presence. And he waited as the world turned slowly toward awakening. She gave no cry, only milk, rivers of it, enough to nourish Ymir and all his kin. From one of his legs, a strange 6-headed son was born. These were the first of the frost giants, the Jotnar, children of Ymir, bound to him by flesh and silence. But at the far reaches of Ginnungagap, 2 realms stood apart, distant, eternal opposites. He was a frost giant, the first of his kind. His limbs were vast, his breath slow and deep. His body carried the cold of Niflheim, but the fire that brought him into being still lingered in his bones. Ice and flame, each sovereign in its silence. But Ginnungagap was wide, and over time, the frozen rivers of Niflheim crept further south. The breath of Muspelheim stretched northward, and when they met, when frost met flame in the middle void, the world began to stir. To the north lay Niflheim, the world of shadowed mists and piercing cold. Drops formed, heavy and strange. From these drops came life, not soft or small, but immense and ancient. To the south burned Muspelheim, a realm of fire and flame, of unbearable heat and fierce light. For an age beyond knowing, these two extremes remained apart. Where the cold met the heat, ice began to melt. The first to awaken was Ymir. He was no god. Ymir lay in the empty space of Ginnungagap, and as he slept, he began to sweat. But Ymir was not alone in that slow unfolding. Where the ice continued to melt, another figure emerged. For a long time, that was all the world knew. But Auhumla had her own task. She did not sleep. On the first day, hair emerged. On the second, a head. He was Buri, the first of the gods. From him would come the line that would shape the worlds. This was how it began. And the void, once silent, began to listen. Chapter 2. Fire and Ice. The birth of Ymir in the earliest breath of creation. The vast space of Ginnungagap stretched between the two primal realms. To the north was Niflheim, land of ice and mist, veiled in cold and stillness. To the south burned Muspelheim, realm of fire and light, seething with heat and motion. He was not shaped like humans or gods, but something older, vaster, born from the raw power of the elements. His body was immense, his limbs thick with strength. He opened his eyes slowly, as though waking from a sleep that had lasted forever. He had no name at first, no language to speak. He simply was. He simply stood, born from the ice through the patient work of Auhumla. Uri would father a son named Bor, and Bor would one day wed Bestla, a daughter of the frost giants. For a long time, each remained distant, untouched by the other. There were no lands, no sky, no sea, only space. And within that space, the tension between chaos and order began to grow. But the void between them was wide and deep, and in time, the breath of each realm drifted further into the empty middle. She had also come from the melting ice, and her form was gentle, vast, and steady. From her teats flowed 4 rivers of milk, enough to nourish Ymir and the offspring that grew around him. They were not made for endless wandering or formless living. He roared through the void, shaking the edges of the realms with his fury. But Odin, Vili, and Ve were driven by a deeper force. They fought not from hatred, but from purpose. And in the end, the giant fell. The great nothingness of Ginnungagap had given way to motion. Ice and fire had met. Life had come. And now creation would follow. Within them stirred the urge to build, to shape, to create meaning from the rawness around them. His name was Bergelmir, and he escaped with his wife in a hollowed-out tree trunk, carried by the tide of blood. From them, the race of giants would continue, ever separate from the gods. She moved calmly through the space, finding salt-rich ice at the edge of Ginnungagap. And there, she began to lick. Ymir, the first being, the source of the giants, still lay at the center of Ginnungagap. His body held the wildness of the early world. His presence held back the shape of things to come. Where ice met flame, Where mist kissed fire, the world began to stir. The ice of Niflheim melted beneath the heat of Muspelheim. From that melting came drops of water, heavy and charged with power. And from those drops, life began. From the warmth of his flesh came sweat, and from that sweat, new life formed. Beneath his arms, a male and a female took shape. They looked upon Ymir's body and did not turn away. From it they would shape the world. From bone, flesh, blood, and breath, they would make the first land, the first sky, the sea, and the stars. From one of his legs came a strange son with many heads. These were the first of the frost giants, ancient beings, cold and wild, born not of will, but of the body's own rhythm. The first being to emerge was Ymir, the ancestor of all frost giants. As Ymir rested in the growing space of Ginnungagap, his body began to stir. On the second, a face began to emerge. By the third day, a full body stood free. It was the figure of a man, tall, strong, and radiant. Ymir lived, fed by the milk of a great cow named Alhumla. Each day, her tongue moved slowly across the ice. On the first day, strands of hair appeared. This was Bori, the first of the gods. He had no parents, no childhood. Together, Bor and Bestla bore 3 sons, Odin, Vili, and Ve. These 3 brothers would change everything. The world was not yet shaped, but it was full of possibility. The giants walked without purpose, strong but chaotic. Odin and his brothers watched the world around them, saw the frost giants multiplying, and felt the pull of something deeper. But the world could not be formed without sacrifice. To bring structure from chaos, something powerful had to end. The brothers understood what must be done. And so, quietly, with great weight in their hearts, they approached Ymir. The struggle was fierce. Ymir, though ancient, was not weak. From Ymir's wounds flowed a river of blood so vast that it drowned all the frost giants except one. The death of Ymir was the beginning of everything. The brothers stood in the void, surrounded by the stillness of what they had done. The world was not yet finished, but it had begun to form. From sacrifice would come structure. From the end of one, the beginning of all. Chapter 3. The Shaping of Midgard. After the first frost giant Ymir had fallen, the world was ready for its first form. Odin and his brothers Vili and Ve stood in the empty Ginnungagap, surrounded by the remains of Ymir. The great skull became the sky, held above the world by the god's strength. From Ymir's blood they made the oceans, the rivers, and the lakes. His flesh became the fertile earth, ready to give life. Even the hair of Ymir was transformed into trees and plants that would one day grow and sway in the winds. From the body of the giant, they began to create all that would fill the cosmos. They lifted Ymir's bones and fashioned them into the mountains and hills. These first humans stood tall and alive, ready to walk the new lands of Midgard. They had given birth to a new kind of life, one that could shape the world with thought and will. Odin, as the All-Father, took his place as leader. His brothers and other gods joined him to defend order against the chaos that always lingered beyond the borders. Above the newly formed lands, the brothers created the sky. It was a constant reminder that peace was fragile and had to be protected. They placed 4 dwarfs at its corners to hold it up, east, west, north, and south, so that the heavens would not fall. They raised walls of stone from Ymir's bones and surrounded Midgard with an ocean to guard against the wild Jitnir. Each part was connected. Each force kept the other in check. So Odin reached into the depths and pulled sparks from Muspelheim, the land of fire. These sparks he set high into the sky as the sun, moon, and stars to bring light and mark the passage of time. The stage was set for the stories yet to unfold, tales of gods and giants, of heroes and battles, of dreams and destiny. They found 2 tree trunks standing in the middle of the new world, one of ash and one of elm. From these trees, Odin breathed life into the first man and woman. Their names were Ask and Embla. The brothers built it carefully, knowing that this would be the home for humanity, a place of order and safety. Next, they created Midgard, the realm of mankind. It was a strong fortress, shaped to protect humans from the chaos beyond. But the world was not complete without light. There was no sun, no moon, and no stars to guide the days and nights. The moon, pale and cool, was set to guide the night, led by her brother Mani. The stars twinkled softly around them, like silent watchers in the dark. The sun, bright and warm, was given to the goddess Sol to drive across the sky each day in her chariot, pulled by fiery horses. With the world now shaped, the gods turned their attention to humanity. Odin gave them breath and spirit, Vili granted them understanding and movement, and Vi gifted them with senses, sight, hearing, and speech. The brothers watched with care as Ask and Embla stepped forward. Though Midgard was strong, the gods knew it would need guardians. So they created the Aesir gods, mighty protectors who would watch over the realms. Around Midgard, the sea stretched wide and deep, a barrier between the world of gods and men and the wild lands of the giants. The shaping of the world was a work of balance, fire and ice, life and death, chaos and order. As the stars shone above and the earth stood firm beneath, the first chapter of creation came to a close. And so, the world of Midgard began, born from sacrifice, shaped by gods, and destined to hold the lives of men and women beneath the endless sky. Chapter 4. The Roots of Yggdrasil. At the center of the newly formed cosmos stood a mighty tree, taller and wider than any other. This was Yggdrasil, the world tree, a great ash whose branches stretched across the vast heavens and whose roots dug deep into the mysterious, unseen places below. The gods revered the tree with quiet awe, for it was the foundation of existence. Around it, life gathered and flourished. Through it, the great forces of fate and time wove their endless dance. Yggdrasil was not just any tree. It was the heart and pillar of the universe, the axis that held together the 9 worlds that would come to be. Each well was a source of great power and mystery. This well was a fountain of life and renewal, feeding the worlds with its waters. His constant biting sought to bring decay and destruction, to tear down the very foundation of the worlds. Yet the tree endured through all attacks, held strong by the power of the gods and the forces of life. The battle between Nidhogg and Yggdrasil was eternal, a reminder that even creation is fragile and must be guarded fiercely. But it was also a place of danger and darkness, for beneath its surface dwelled serpents and dragons, guarding the roots of the tree and challenging the strength of Yggdrasil itself. The great eagle Hraesvelgr perched at the top, his mighty wings stirring the winds that swept through the 9 worlds. The roots drew deep from hidden waters, the branches reached high toward the shining stars, and the 9 worlds hung like precious fruits, waiting to be explored. Between the eagle's eyes sat Vedrfolnr, a sharp-eyed hawk who watched silently over all. It was a place of power, wisdom, and quiet strength. The tree held within it the promise of dreams yet to be dreamt, destinies yet to be fulfilled, and worlds yet to be born. The flow of time and destiny could be felt pulsing through the very leaves and bark. Along the trunk scurried Ratatosk, a clever squirrel who carried messages, sometimes truthful, sometimes mischievous, between the eagle above and Nidhogg below, weaving a web of communication that connected the extremes of the tree. Together, they formed a balance of forces that held the cosmos steady, weaving the fate of worlds into a single tapestry. The realms of gods, men, giants, elves, and spirits were all bound together by the great tree. Each had its place, balanced perfectly upon the branches and roots of Yggdrasil. It was sacred and eternal, a living connection between the realms of gods, men, giants, and all creatures in between. The bark of Yggdrasil shimmered softly with an ancient light, and its countless leaves whispered secrets to the winds that passed through. From the trunk, 3 massive roots stretched out in different directions, reaching deep into 3 sacred wells. The first root stretched into the Well of Ord, a shimmering pool of water guarded by the Norns, 3 mysterious sisters named Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld. Even the fiercest battles, darkest nights, and greatest joys were part of the larger cycle, a vast web that stretched beyond any single world or moment. These ancient weavers of fate tended to the waters of the well, spinning the threads of time itself. Urd represented the past, Verdandi the present, and Skuld the future. The gods often came to this well seeking wisdom, for the Norns held knowledge of what had been, what was, and what might yet come to pass. Fate, as the Norns taught, was both a gift and a burden that shaped all lives, mortal and divine alike. The second root plunged down into the well of Mimir, a place of endless knowledge and deep secrets. Mimir himself was a wise guardian, keeper of ancient wisdom that stretched back before the beginning of time. The waters of this well held the memories of the ages, the hidden truths of the world. Odin, the Allfather and leader of the gods, once sacrificed one of his eyes to drink from Mimir's well, gaining insight into mysteries no other being could fathom. This sacrifice of sight for wisdom showed the great price that knowledge could demand, but also its incredible power. The third root reached into the cold spring of Horgelmir, the source from which many great rivers flowed. Among these creatures was Nidhogg, a dreadful dragon who gnawed ceaselessly at the root of Yggdrasil. High in the branches of Yggdrasil lived many other beings, each with their own role in the cosmos. Yggdrasil was a living symbol of unity, strength, and endless connection. It linked heaven, earth, and the underworld in a single sacred whole. Often, the gods gathered beneath Yggdrasil's shade, holding counsel and deciding the fate of all things. The world tree stood as a constant reminder that all life was interconnected. As the winds rustled through its leaves and the sunlight danced across its branches, Yggdrasil breathed with the pulse of the entire cosmos. Through Yggdrasil, the story of creation and existence continued to unfold, a story of balance, endurance, sacrifice, and the endless cycles of beginnings and endings. Though the worlds had taken their first shape, their future remained unwritten. Chapter 5. The 9 Worlds Revealed. With the great tree Yggdrasil standing tall and strong at the center of the cosmos, the 9 worlds began to take their distinct places, each suspended within the branches and roots of the world tree. These realms formed the vast universe of Norse mythology, each with its own inhabitants, landscapes, and destinies. The structure of these worlds showed the balance and interconnectedness of all existence. At the highest reaches of Yggdrasil's branches was Asgard, the home of the Aesir gods. It was nestled in the middle of the Great Tree, surrounded by a vast ocean that protected it from giants and monsters. This wild and rugged realm was filled with towering mountains, deep forests, and harsh weather. These graceful beings were associated with beauty, light, and magic. Alfheim was a place of shimmering forests and gentle meadows, filled with radiant light that contrasted with the darker realms. It lay beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, a cold and shadowy place where those who died of sickness or old age went to rest. Though not a place of torment like some underworlds, Helheim was distant and quiet, a somber realm where the dead awaited their fate in the great cycles of life. It was a land of molten lava, burning flames, and fierce heat, where the air itself seemed to crackle with power. Surtur and his fiery forces were destined to play a role in the end of the world, a future event known as Ragnarok, when fire and destruction would sweep through the cosmos. Forces of order and chaos, light and darkness, life and death, moved through the realms, shaping their histories and destinies. The gods watched and acted from Asgard, but the future was always uncertain, held in the hands of fate and the ever-turning wheel of time. The elves were known to be helpful to humans, often bringing blessings or guidance. The tale of creation was just the beginning, with endless adventures and struggles yet to come. The fates of gods, giants, humans, elves, and all beings were woven together in the grand design of the cosmos. The giants were ancient beings, powerful and sometimes hostile, often in conflict with the gods of Asgard. These skilled craftsmen and smiths lived underground, crafting magical objects of great power. It was from this realm that many of the gods' most famous weapons and treasures came, including Thor's hammer and Odin's spear. It was one of the oldest worlds, where rivers of ice and freezing winds shaped the land. Niflheim stood in stark contrast to Muspelheim, the fiery world of fire and heat, where giant fire demons dwelled. The clash between the icy rivers of Niflheim and the blazing flames of Muspelheim created the sparks that gave birth to the first living beings in the cosmos. Svartalfheim was a mysterious and shadowy place, full of twisting tunnels and glowing forges. Yet the giants were also part of the cosmic balance, representing forces of chaos and change that shaped the worlds. Midgard was a world of forests, mountains, seas, and plains, a place where mortal lives unfolded with all their struggles, joys, and mysteries. The gods watched over Midgard carefully, often intervening to guide or challenge humanity. This was a shining realm of golden halls and towering fortresses, where Odin, the Allfather, ruled with wisdom and strength. The gods of Asgard included mighty warriors like Thor, the thunder god known for his hammer, and Freya, the goddess of love and battle. Asgard was a place of divine power, where fate and the future of the worlds were often debated and decided. Just below Asgard lay Vanaheim, the home of the Vanir gods. These gods were connected to fertility, nature, and prosperity, and they lived in harmony with the earth and its creatures. Vanaheim was a place of peace and plenty, where the gifts of the natural world were nurtured and protected. Though the Aesir and Vanir once warred, they later came together in alliance, bringing balance to the divine realms. Midgard, meaning middle enclosure, was the world of humans. Beyond Midgard was Jotunheim, the land of the giants, also called Jotnar. To the east lay Alfheim, the realm of the light elves. In contrast, Svartalfheim, also known as Nidavellir, was the land of the dark elves or dwarves. Helheim was the world of the dead, ruled by the goddess Hel. Niflheim, the world of mist and cold, was a frozen realm of ice, snow, and darkness. Finally, Muspelheim was a realm of fire and heat, ruled by the fire giant Surtur. Together, these 9 worlds formed the great web of existence, linked by Yggdrasil's branches and roots. Each world was unique, yet none stood alone. The balance of these worlds was delicate and constantly tested. Through Yggdrasil, the 9 worlds remained connected, reminding all who dwelled within them that their stories were part of a greater whole. Chapter 6. The Cosmic Forces and the Birth of Life. In the vast emptiness before the 9 worlds took form, 2 powerful forces existed in eternal opposition. From the icy void of Niflheim and the fiery realm of Muspelheim, the first sparks of creation emerged, setting the stage for all life and existence to follow. It was a place of darkness and silence, where the cold winds whispered secrets into the void. From its deepest well, called Virgo Mere, icy rivers flowed outward, nourishing the barren emptiness. Across from this frozen land blazed Muspelheim, the fiery realm of flames and heat, ruled by the fire giant Surtur. His fiery breath scorched the air, and molten rivers streamed through the landscape, turning it into a blazing furnace. The blood that spilled from Ymir formed the oceans and rivers, separating the lands and creating spaces where life could thrive. The sun was set on a chariot pulled by the swift horse Arvak, and the night was ruled by the goddess Nott, who guided the moon's path across the sky. These celestial bodies moved in an eternal dance, marking the passage of time and the rhythm of the seasons. The mountains rose as bones of the giant, standing tall and unyielding, marking the boundaries of the new world. The gods created the first human's Ask and Embla from 2 trees found on the shore. The great forces that shaped the universe continued to influence the fate of gods and mortals alike, reminding all that balance was fragile and must be protected. Through its strength, the 9 worlds remained connected, each a part of the grand story of existence. Odin breathed life into them. Vili granted them intelligence and feeling, and Ve gave them senses and speech. These first humans became the ancestors of all mortal people living in Midgard, the middle world protected by a great wall built by the gods to keep out the giants. These 2 primal elements, ice and fire, were the raw materials from which the cosmos was born. Niflheim, the land of mist and cold, stretched endlessly with frozen rivers and swirling fog. Between these 2 extremes lay a void known as Gin Ongap, a yawning chasm of nothingness. To create balance, they made a great sacrifice. They slew Ymir, and from his body they fashioned the world. His flesh became the earth, his blood the seas, his bones the mountains, and his skull the sky. From his brains they created the clouds that drifted across the heavens. Here, the warm fires of Muspelheim met the cold mist of Niflheim, and the interaction of heat and frost brought forth the first living being, Ymir, the giant. Audhumla nourished herself by licking the salty ice blocks, and through this slow process, she revealed the first god, Buri. Buri was strong and wise, the ancestor of the Aesir gods. His descendants, Odin, Vili, and Ve, would go on to shape the cosmos and bring order to the chaotic beginnings. Emir was a primordial giant, enormous and strange, whose body formed the foundation for the universe to come. From Ymir's sweat and breath, other giants emerged, creating the first generation of beings in the cosmos. But Ymir was not alone. From the melting ice of Niflheim, a sacred cow named Audhumla arose. The three brothers Odin, Vili, and Vi realized that the world was raw and wild, shaped by forces beyond control. This act of creation was both violent and necessary, symbolizing the transformation of chaos into order. To complete the cosmos, Odin and his brothers shaped the sun, moon, and stars from sparks taken from Muspelheim's fire realm. Life blossomed in the new world. The creation of the 9 worlds was thus a grand tapestry woven from ice and fire, life and death, order and chaos. Yggdrasil, the world tree, stood at the center of this cosmic web, its roots drinking from the deep wells of knowledge, and its branches reaching toward the bright skies. Chapter 7. The Guardians and Inhabitants of the 9 Worlds. With the 9 worlds now shaped and linked by the mighty world tree Yggdrasil, the cosmos was alive with a rich diversity of beings. Each realm was home to creatures and guardians whose roles were vital to maintaining balance and order across the cosmos. Odin, the Allfather, was the supreme ruler, known for his relentless pursuit of knowledge and sacrifice. He was accompanied by Thor, the thunder god whose mighty hammer protected both gods and humans from chaos. Freya, the goddess of love, beauty, and war, held sway over matters of the heart and battle alike. The gods lived in grand halls like Valhalla and Folkvanger, where fallen warriors were honored and prepared for the final battle of Ragnarok. They inhabited shimmering forests filled with eternal light, bringing beauty and inspiration to the worlds. The elves were known for their healing powers and gentle spirits, aiding both gods and humans. From the highest heavens to the deepest depths, life thrived in many forms, each intertwined with the fate of the worlds. These master craftsmen forged legendary weapons and artifacts imbued with magic. From their glowing forges came Thor's hammer Mjolnir and Odin's spear Gungnir. It was a place of mystery and ancient power, where the forces of cold held sway. This realm was often seen as a symbol of death and the unknown, a place beyond the reach of warmth and light. The story of creation was not simply a beginning, but an ongoing saga of balance and change. The great eagle Hraesvelgr, perched atop Yggdrasil, stirred the winds with his mighty wings. Ratatosk, the mischievous squirrel, carried messages and insults between the eagle and the serpent Nidhogg, who gnawed endlessly at the roots of the world tree, threatening its stability. The dwarves were secretive and skilled, living in vast underground halls illuminated by glowing gems and molten metal. In Asgard, the realm of the Aesir gods, powerful deities watched over the cosmos with wisdom and strength. Ruled by the goddess Hel, this somber world was the resting place for those who died of illness or old age. Though often feared, Helheim was not a place of torment, but a quiet domain where souls awaited their destiny. The goddess Hel herself was a complex figure, half alive and half dead, embodying the boundary between life and death. Not far from Asgard, in Vanaheim, the Vanir gods nurtured fertility, peace, and prosperity. They were closely connected to the earth and its cycles, ensuring that crops grew and nature flourished. His blazing sword was destined to set the world aflame during Ragnarok. The fiery realm was fierce and destructive, yet also a source of renewal, as fire clears the old to make way for the new. Humans lived in villages, forests, and mountains, their lives shaped by the forces of nature and the gods' favor. Though mortal and fragile, humans were gifted with free will and courage. The gods, giants, elves, dwarves, humans, and spirits all moved through the cosmic dance, bound by fate, choice, and the eternal cycles of creation and destruction. The gods often walked among them in disguise, testing their bravery and honor, rewarding the good and punishing the wicked. Their magic was subtle but powerful, weaving blessings through the fields and forests. The Vanir and Aesir gods, once rivals, now stood united, guarding the balance of nature and civilization. In Midgard, the world of humans, life was vibrant and varied. To the east lay Jotunheim, home of the giants or Jotnar. These colossal beings embodied the wild and untamed forces of nature. Their strength and size were legendary, and many were hostile to the gods, challenging their order and authority. Yet, not all giants were enemies. Some lived peacefully and even intermarried with the gods, weaving complex relationships between the realms. Alfheim was the realm of the light elves, radiant beings of grace and magic. Beneath the earth lay Svartalfheim, or Nidavellir, the domain of the dark elves or dwarves. At the roots of Yggdrasil lay Helheim, the realm of the dead. Niflheim, the cold and misty world, was home to icy rivers and deep fog. Muspelheim, in stark contrast, was a realm of fire and heat, ruled by the fire giant Surtur. Throughout the 9 worlds, many creatures played their parts. These beings and realms formed a delicate web of life, each dependent on the others for survival and harmony. In this vast universe, every creature had its place, and every action sent ripples across the 9 worlds. Chapter 8, The Wells of Wisdom and the Secrets of Yggdrasil, at the very heart of the cosmos. Beneath the great branches of Yggdrasil lay sacred wells filled with ancient knowledge and power. These wells were not mere sources of water, but fountains of wisdom and mystery, vital to the life and fate of the 9 worlds. The gods, giants, and all beings held these wells in reverence, for they were gateways to understanding the deepest secrets of existence. Mimir, the wise guardian of this well, possessed knowledge beyond all others. Odin, in his relentless quest for wisdom, sacrificed one of his eyes to drink from Mimir's well, gaining insight into the mysteries of the universe. This well contained waters that granted understanding of the past and future, a price dearly paid by the Allfather. Odin in particular was drawn to the wells, for he understood that wisdom was the true source of power. The past, present, and future were woven together like the branches and roots of the great tree. Through the sacred waters, the Norns shaped the destiny of every soul, from gods to mortals. He ventured into the depths, risking his safety to grasp the secrets that would protect the worlds from chaos and destruction. Through Mimir's well-flowed knowledge that bound the 9 worlds together, helping maintain balance and foresight. One of the most important wells was Urd's Well, named after the Norns' fate-weaving maidens, who tended the roots of Yggdrasil. Yet, they were essential to the survival of the 9 worlds, holding the keys to balance and harmony within the vast cosmic order. The story of creation was deeply intertwined with the endless pursuit of wisdom, a quest that continues through all ages. The Norns, Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld controlled the threads of past, present, and future. Its branches stretched into the heavens, sheltering the realms above, while its roots dug deep into the mysteries of the underworld. Yggdrasil was alive with magic. Its leaves whispered secrets to those who listened, and its strength supported the endless cycle of life and death. They shaped destiny by weaving the fate of gods and men alike. It was a source of life-giving waters, and also home to fearsome serpents that gnawed at the roots of the world tree, threatening its very existence. The constant battle between life and destruction was symbolized by these creatures, reminding all that even the foundation of the cosmos was fragile. Urd's well was a shimmering pool of sacred water where the Norns gathered to nourish the roots of the world tree and shape the destinies of all beings. The well was surrounded by ancient stones, inscribed with runes and secrets only the wisest could decipher. Another great well was Mimir's well, a source of profound wisdom. Beneath Yggdrasil's roots also flowed Virgulmir, the bubbling spring from which many rivers originated. The world tree itself was a symbol of connection, wisdom, and endurance. The gods frequently journeyed to these wells to seek guidance and knowledge. The wells also represented the flow of time and fate, reminding all beings that nothing was permanent. These wells stood as timeless reminders that knowledge and wisdom came at a price, often requiring sacrifice and courage. In the quiet moments beneath the sprawling branches of Yggdrasil, the universe's greatest mysteries were whispered on the wind, carried by the flowing waters of the wells. Chapter 9. The Prophecy of Ragnarok and the Cycle of Renewal. Among the many secrets held within the 9 worlds, none was more feared or revered than the prophecy of Ragnarok, the end of days, and the rebirth of the cosmos. This great event was foretold by the Norns and whispered in the halls of the gods. The forces of chaos, led by the fire giant Surtur, the serpent Jormungandr, and the wolf Fenrir, would rise up against the gods and the order they maintained. The great serpent Jormungandr would slither from the depths of the ocean, encircling the world with his massive form, while Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, would break free from his chains, hungry for vengeance. Odin would face Fenrir in a fierce battle, sacrificing himself in the struggle. Thor would confront Jormungandr, slaying the serpent but succumbing to its deadly venom. These heroic acts of sacrifice were vital, demonstrating the gods' commitment to preserving the cycle of life. They are part of a greater journey, where darkness gives way to light and despair transforms into hope. The gods, despite knowing their fate, face the end with bravery, teaching that dignity in the face of hardship is a virtue to be cherished. This eternal dance continues beneath the branches of Yggdrasil, where fate and free will weave together in the tapestry of life. A cataclysmic battle that would bring destruction and renewal in equal measure. Surtur's flaming sword would set the world ablaze, consuming the old to make way for the new. This destruction was not merely an end, but a transformation, a clearing of the way for rebirth and hope. Ragnarok was destined to be a time when the boundaries between the worlds would weaken. The sky would darken, and the earth would tremble as fire and ice clashed. Survivors, both gods and humans, would repopulate the earth, beginning the cycle anew. The sun would shine brighter, and the world tree Yggdrasil would stand tall, stronger than before. This renewal symbolized hope and the endless nature of existence, reminding all that even destruction leads to creation. Yet, even in the face of such destruction, the gods would not fall without a fight. After the chaos of Ragnarok, a new world would rise from the waters, pure and green. The prophecy of Ragnarok served as a powerful reminder that change was inevitable. The cosmos was a living, breathing entity, subject to cycles of growth and decay. The fate of the 9 worlds was intertwined with these cycles, reflecting the balance between order and chaos. Through the story of Ragnarok, the Norse myths teach that endings are not final. The prophecy also highlights the importance of courage and honor. As the cycle of destruction and renewal turns, the 9 worlds remain connected by the roots and branches of Yggdrasil, forever intertwined in the great story of creation, existence, and transformation. Chapter 10. The Eternal Cycle and the Legacy of the 9 Worlds. The story of the 9 worlds is not merely a tale of beginnings and endings. It is a timeless cycle of life, death, and rebirth that stretches across the vast cosmos. Its roots reach deep into the underworlds, while its branches stretch high into the heavens. Each faces challenges, makes sacrifices, and embodies powerful forces that shape reality. These opposites do not exist in isolation, but coexist, weaving together the harmony that allows the universe to flourish. They journey through the worlds with free will, the ability to grow, change, and shape their own destinies. It encourages us to look beyond simple beginnings and endings, to see time as a flowing river that carries all things forward. The lessons of the past shape the present and guide the unfolding future. Their story offers comfort and inspiration, reminding us that even in the darkest moments, light will return. The cosmos is alive with endless possibility, and we are all connected by this eternal cycle of life, death, and renewal. Through this cycle, the worlds endure, and the story of creation continues, ever ancient and ever new. In this way, the ancient myths remain alive, not frozen stories of old, but living truths whispered on the wind, shaping how we understand the universe and our place within it. Every ending is also a new beginning. Every death is the fertile soil from which new life emerges. The cosmos is a place of endless transformation, where change is the only constant. Their lives are influenced by fate, yet they also hold power through choice, bravery, and resilience. The stories remind us that while destiny may guide us, it does not bind us wholly, and our actions can leave lasting impacts across time. Through their constant interplay, the cosmos is renewed and reshaped, a living, breathing entity influenced by the actions of gods, giants, and mortals alike. Their stories serve as lessons about courage, wisdom, and the fragile balance between creation and destruction. They teach that even in conflict and change, harmony can be found. It binds the 9 worlds together in a delicate web of life and magic. Through its strength, endurance, and eternal growth, the balance between these realms is maintained. Yggdrasil symbolizes resilience and connection, standing tall as a living testament to the cycles of nature and the passage of time. From the very first sparks of creation to the looming prophecy of Ragnarok, the universe moves through endless phases, each one connected and vital. This eternal cycle is deeply woven into the fabric of Norse mythology, serving as a powerful reminder that existence itself is a continuous journey, an unfolding story that never truly ends. At the very center of this cosmic journey stands Yggdrasil, the great world tree. The gods, giants, elves, dwarves, humans, and all creatures of the 9 worlds play their parts in this ongoing saga. The legacy of the 9 worlds teaches us that life is full of contrasts: fire and ice, order and chaos, light and darkness. Humans, created from the gifts of the gods, hold a unique and special place within this eternal cycle. The story of the 9 worlds invites reflection on the nature of existence itself. As the branches of Yggdrasil reach toward the endless sky, and its roots delve deep into the shadowed earth, the 9 worlds continue their eternal dance. With this deeper understanding, we come to appreciate the profound beauty and mystery of the 9 worlds. You have now journeyed through the vast and ancient tale of the 9 worlds, woven together by the mighty world tree Yggdrasil. From the first breath of creation, when fire and ice met in the void, to the shaping of gods, giants, and all living beings, this story reveals the delicate balance that holds the cosmos in harmony. The prophecy of Ragnarok shows us that even in destruction, there is hope for renewal, a cycle that has repeated through time and will continue forever. Their story is a timeless reminder that change is constant, but so is connection. The cosmos breathes with the rhythm of transformation, and we too are part of this grand design. The courage of the gods in the face of inevitable change teaches us about strength, honor, and the beauty of endings that give way to new beginnings. Each world, from the lofty halls of Asgard to the shadowy depths of Niflheim, plays a vital role in the endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The sacred wells beneath Yggdrasil's roots, guarded by wise and mysterious beings, remind us that wisdom and fate flow through every branch and root of the universe. Imagine yourself beneath the sheltering branches of Yggdrasil, feeling the gentle pulse of the worlds, the quiet whisper of destiny weaving through the night air. Let the story of the 9 worlds carry you softly into peaceful sleep. As the branches of Yggdrasil stretch endlessly into the sky, and its roots reach deep into the unseen realms, the 9 worlds remain bound together in an eternal dance. Now, as you prepare to rest, let the calm and mystery of these ancient tales soothe your mind. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with the wonder of the cosmos and the gentle embrace of the midnight sky.